Yo, good morning, everybody. Yesterday, we were sitting on our hands somewhat as we were waiting for the FOMC to tell us if there's going to be any update to the funds rate. We were also worried about the GDP figures that came out stronger than anticipated. So what did it do? It gave us a little bit of a flash crash, a little pump and dump, or dump and pump in this instance. So the question that I want to bring to you guys today is this then, these highs is just another trap? Are we going to go lower still? I want to also look at Ethereum in the same eye, see what is happening with Ethereum. Is Ethereum now going to do what? Is it going to shake everybody out and go lower? Is Ethereum going to go give us that higher high? I want to deeper look at the FOMC and how this is now changing the predictions, because this was at 65% yesterday before the meeting. It's now, and this was the 34, it's 57. So this is now the highest probable target. And then in addition to this, we need to have a look at how this is then going to impact our alt season, the top alts I want to be looking at with you guys, as well as where our next trade direction is. So if this all tickles your fancy, something that you want to see, and you know what to do, hit the like and subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, say hi. And if you're the regular like these guys, say hi. Nevertheless, thanks so much for taking the time, joining me. And then as always, Liam is here, lock and loaded with his questions. So before we get to any of that, Liam, let's get serious. Let's start with the content. Okay. So the first thing for me today is when I look at BTC is to see where we are within the liquidity side of things. Who's trading? Is there a lot of trading activity today? And so forth, because that does have an impact on how the market is going to move. So let's just quickly have a look at what is happening on that front. So I'm just going to load it to the 4-hour time frame. And come on, this was loaded before I went live, guys. I do apologize. Now it seems to be taking its time. Let's quickly read. Let me quickly. There we go. Okay, so what I'm picking up at this stage, if you zoom out and you have a look at the most recent highs, is as long as there's harmony within the way the open interest loads. Well, why is it so slow? You can see because I'm live now. Now everything is just fighting me. Come on. You see there's very little deviation between what happens with Bitcoin's price. Now that was my mouse. Okay. What happens with Bitcoin's price and the open interest. So what does this teach us? As things go higher, more people will buy in. And when we start deviating from that, meaning there is no higher high, but a lot of buyers still in the market, that typically gives us a hint that there might be somebody going to be losing soon. There might be a little bit of a shakeout happening. And we had the same now in the same instance where price didn't support that. So we had a scenario where we had a lot of squeezing in the market. A lot of people got hurt because there was more traders waiting to get in, but the market just didn't quite get us. So at this instance, this dip also meant that there was a significant support level being locked in there. It's that same significant support level that on Bitcoin now has been tested. So to open this up and just show you guys, we are looking at this demand zone here being tested. Okay. And the way that we normally do that, 50% of the demand zone. There we go. Oops. And that's really nice. But I seem to be having a lot of bugs in the system. Maybe something is streaming. There we go. That's something that will maybe speed up my internet. And what else could be slowing me down? Because it is frustrating at this stage. It's not even loading the lines. Well, I need to probably click on the right one. Okay, there we go. So to continue our train of thought, let's quickly do that. We have a situation now where price is making higher highs on open interest, but price is not making higher highs. So it brings the question in that, is this a trap forming? Because if there's more traders and price is not supporting them, it means that at some stage they're going to change their mind. And when they do change their mind, the market is going to dump a little bit harder. The chart that I kind of want to point out to whether that is a potential possibility is the point and figure. Now, you know the point and figure works very simple. When we create these imbalances, these insanely fast move gaps, price will go and revisit that at some stage. And we can use this to our benefit because this was the last point and figure target, and the price revisited that zone and it's on its way. So the big question is there anything up here that price is going to want to visit and then go back down? No. So if we break through these highs sitting at 122.23, it opens the door for the market to just move up considerably. Now, we know that when we look at Bitcoin on a larger spectrum, so we look at it between halvings, these red vertical lines signify halving dates. Okay, we know that when we do that, Bitcoin will probably most times top at the 38.2 time level. So 38% from the distance from halving to the next halving, that's when it times. And 61% between the two, that's when it bottoms. And the nice thing is because Bitcoin's is engineered to halve every 4 years or after amount of blocks, it generally takes 4 years, give or take a day or so, we can kind of predict into the future when the next halving should be. Now, that date and time will vary over from where I've drawn it, but nearest makes no difference. And then we can look at the same thing and say, well, then Bitcoin does have more upward potential leading into the 38.2 level, which is where I expect the top would be. This then, for our alt season, still then says to us, once Bitcoin reaches these highs, reaches a high, the dominance starts dropping. Bitcoin reached a high. That was a double top, but it reached a high and the dominance started dropping. So if that is going to happen again this time, it means that Bitcoin is close to its high, maybe 130, maybe 140, 150, if you really want to be crazy. But the idea that Bitcoin is going to go to 1 million or 500,000, considering this analysis just doesn't make sense. I don't see a massive one big candle like that, which bodes well for our alts, because at this stage, then the argument is that the dominance, Bitcoin's dominance, needs to start giving us a downwards trending move. Okay. Now, when we look at Bitcoin to the CME gap, we typically find that Bitcoin goes and fills this area. And that's the cautionary tale. Is this a trap? Is it a dump? So what I'm going to say to you guys is treat this pump. Sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Treat this pump as if it's going to go and break that higher high. But have a clear invalidation, because the danger is still there that it can go lower. So it means that anything we're going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at BNB at all-time highs. We're going to be Solana. We're going to be looking at XRP and during the stream. All of that, it's all good. But just understand that if this ends up being a trap, we need to have a clear invalidation so that we do have the cash and the will and the emotional. You want to be prepared for something that goes wrong, because then it's not so bad, typically like that. So if that happens, that we can still get in on these areas, because this is bouncing, creates a false sense of safety, and whoops, then sweep everybody out and go, which contradicts what I said regarding this, but you still have that area there. Okay, so it's still there. You can't deny, you can't lie the charts. Okay, so to finish up with what we are saying regarding the funding rate and the interest, is that there is that position, that possibility. This is going higher, this is not making higher highs, that there could be a lot of traders being trapped at a Bitcoin that is not performing so well. And if so, it will flush them out. It will go for their stops. The funding rate is then the second thing that I kind of want to point to while we were now discussing this whole thing. And it's on the basis that the really good lows, if we zoom out and get a bigger picture, the really good lows for the funding rate occurs when it flips negative. So as soon as we start seeing red on red on red, that's typically a really good sign for a nice long-term swing entry. And because we're at this stage, it's still relatively high. The trade environment that we need to consider is that of a lateral range. We're not at any stage turning really swingsy, which then supports this theory that maybe we need to go a little bit lower, to pressure the market out of their long-term BTC holdings, because everybody now wants to be in Bitcoin and drive this thing to the moon. So to get them to question their resolve, shake them out before the market could move. Okay, that is kind of what I'm thinking regarding this. And it means that our altcoin entries that we're looking at, some of them might be really good buys, and some of them might get tested. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so in order for us to then use this Bitcoin chart and to kind of know that, okay, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, we need to consider that this thing's going to keep on pushing higher. What if it doesn't and it falls? Where's that line? That line still lives at 117. And I'm going to keep it at 117, and it's on the basis on the following things. Okay. In order for us to say that we've lost support for Bitcoin, the following thing needs to happen. We need to open a candle and close a candle below that level. Until we do that, there we lost support. Until we open and close a candle below that level, you have to dream big that it's going to go on higher. And once that happens, typically what you then do for your larger bags is you wait for price to go test the area where what happens? Support was lost. And then if you're wrong, you use that as the buyback. Now, in this instance, it was a messy buyback because it basically probably shook everybody out. Now, I said, guys, demand is where I think is sitting at 116, and that is a plausible, really good entry. So for those that were in the Discord with me, this was the entry that we were waiting for. I was waiting for this entry last night on a smaller time frame, waiting for price to grab that demand zone right there and then move on higher still. So if you want that information, you want those updates, all you need to do is have your Bybit account, guys. As simple as that. Use the link in the video description. Head over to the Discord and claim your access. You can go to the navigation channel in the Discord, and you're going to click on the partner roles, and then you're going to say, I want my Bybit role. It's going to ask you your Bybit user ID so that I can go verify, and it's going to ask you your trading view username so that I can even give you access to my buddy indicator. Now let's quickly have a look and see what the buddy indicator did for us yesterday. Now it's a given the market is range bound, so it's a little messy on the 4 hour. So let's go to the 15-minute, and on the 15-minute we should be able to see if it did better. Now remember, I always say with anything and with the buddy indicator, it's got a 65% success ratio. So remember that, 65%. And that means that over 100 trades, you will have 65 winners. It can go on a losing streak, just like it can go on the winning streak. And especially if the market is range bound, it becomes much harder to anticipate what it's going to do next. Okay. So let's quickly have a look and unpack this breakout. Let's just do that. So at this stage, buddy indicator gave you guys the SO2, which went to TP1. Nearest makes no difference. And it is looking for a long at 118.3. And it's saying to us that because we're at resistance, this is a really good area to short. So once price moves into between those purple lines, not where it's at right now, in between the purple lines, that would be considered as a short, like it did there. Now, remember what I said earlier? Once price loses a level, this was the right area to do what? To sell. Now, let me just bring the two charts together. It's the right area to sell. That same area there. Once you lose support, you want to sell. Now, that happened there, obviously, because this is a 15-minute, but it's the right mindset. Now, the short failed, which could happen. And what will happen? Price is going to want to test support at some stage, be it there or there. So the buddy is already trying to look for where that's going to be. Okay. Now you need to, like I said, 65%. So if you take 10 trades, you'll probably have 4 that failed. The nice thing with the buddy indicator is it gives you very high risk to reward ratios, meaning an entry like this, just do that, an entry like that, if it hits TP3, you basically, if you've risked $100, you made $700 on a trade like that. High risk reward ratio means that 65% success ratio still makes you a hell of a lot of money when it does hit the trade correctly. Okay. Back to the analysis now. So now we've spoken about the liquidity for Bitcoin. I spoke to you guys about where I think, I keep on clicking on that, where I think the market's going to move next. And I've given you guys the general trade sentiment. So be bullish. We want to remain bullish, but we need to understand that if we lose 117.7, and we start trading below that range, the door then is open for lower targets. That's the cautionary tale to this whole story. Now let's do the same for Ethereum real quick. So I'm going to zoom out slightly. So this is the Ethereum play. We're looking for Ethereum to make a higher high on the weekly. I'm going to use this chart, and I'm just going to move to ETH to the weekly real quick so you guys can it's just neater and cleaner drawn there. Okay. The weekly time frame has got hidden bearish divergence. There's a problem. In order for us to delete that hidden bearish divergence, we, one, need to break this triangle, which a lot of people will be looking at. Two, we need to get out of this lateral range which has been trapping Ethereum since the previous bull market high. So we're fighting that range. And then three, if we can get that higher high, that line there, we delete the hidden bearish divergence, which means we're no longer bearish. Okay. That's what we want to try and do. So the idea with these longs is to try and get us there so that we can maybe finish this third leg. I'm not convinced that it's done, okay? Because we didn't have a deep enough shakeout so that we've got hidden bearish divergence to create the pullback for the fall. There's the fall. Once that's there, ETH has got another leg high to go. So we need to be patient. ETH is not ready for a swing. ETH is ready for scalp longs. We want to try and still get that in. So your sentiment for ETH is still bullish. We're still in this impulse wave, still bullish. And within this last wave, we basically about 65% done. And it's proof that we're 65% done because it is getting more choppy, more so. ETH was very quiet there. Now it's becoming really choppy at this stage. So it makes for a little bit of a harder trading environment when you reach the top. Okay. That's basically that for Ethereum. Now, one thing that I want to discuss with you guys is if we look at Ethereum to the BTC pairing, because that is still something up for debate, and whether this is a good time to be there. So I'm going to go to the weekly time frame on that real quick. And like I pointed out with previous discussions, and it's maybe just, I always forget to clean the brush strokes after I've done something, guys. I don't know. I don't think it's, I always forget. So I just apologize. So if I do clean this and waste your time, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. So when we look at this, Ethereum or Ethereum season is a very short-lived period of time where being in the ETH really makes you more Bitcoin. Bitcoin is where we store our money. ETH is what we want to use to make more Bitcoin so that we have more money in reserves. That's the play. ETH to BTC, ETH to the USDT pairing has not outperformed or made us any money in the last 4 years, for that matter, by just holding it. It's still below all-time highs, where Bitcoin has made us money. So being in Bitcoin is still your best friend. And the argument is then, on that basis, ETH to the weekly time frame, we've had one quick push to the upside, but we have not broken we've broken one bearish trend. So let me just point it out. Gone, typically you'll have many angles. This is your bear trend, 0 to 1. But then the strength of the trend gets determined at these levels, how fast it is running. Okay. And so although we've broken one, we still have more bearish trend waiting for us at higher levels. Simple as that. So I have not broken any of these larger time frame trends, but it is looking good. The only one thing is that we need to do is we need to get that higher high for ETH on the dollar pairing at 4,100. And we also need that higher high. Hopefully, Bitcoin doesn't pump while ETH does that. because we need to delete the hidden bearish divergence that's currently still holding ETH on the BTC pairing as well, just like on the USDT pairing. So higher high in the RSI, lower high in price, hidden bearish divergence tells us that the trend on this is still bearish. So I cannot, and I will not at this stage, switch my bags, my Bitcoin bags, into ETH just yet, irrespective of how juicy this candle is, because it could be a dead cat bounce. You know, this candle could just be bringing us here, reject, and then something happens in the world and we go lower. I want an established bullish trend before I do that. So we still have time. So if you feel like it's desperate and you maybe have missed the move or things are running away from you, there's still time for all these mechanics to kind of pick up. You know, think about this. This is the last time you had a really nice big ETH move. So we had a first pump and then we had a higher high. Once there's a higher high, you establish a trend. Okay. Now let's move that to the right. You've made your higher high. You've tested that. Now it's time. So ETH has not even made a higher high just yet. Okay. Still needs to do that on the BTC pairing. So it's a lot of time for us to still be a little bit patient with this. Don't FOMO in at these highs. Okay. That's it. So in general sentiment is scalp trade long for ETH is good. You can do that. I would still bet the long over the short. But I just want to caution you guys that it's not the right time to swing by. There's still the possibility that the beginning of August, mid till end August will probably be a little bit bearish before we head into this bullish blow off for the coins. Okay, so that is Ethereum for you guys. So ETH to the BTC pairing. It's not safe to swap into ETH just yet. Your spot HODL BTC. And my ETH trading sentiment is that of a scalp long, no swings just yet. Okay. Now, before we look at our altcoins, let's quickly discuss what is happening here. So the advanced GDP came out yesterday. So remember now, you get basically 4 figures on the GDP. First release, second, then the advanced, and then the real GDP figures. So as they gather data, they start releasing these. This is where it is roughly now, but it's not locked in. It's not confirmed just yet. And so the advanced GDP tells us that there's a potential that it's going to be 3%. So the GDP isn't 3% for the US just yet. Okay, that's it. So it's just hinting to the possibility that the economy is stronger than what we think it is. Now, why is this a problem? The whole argument for the FOMC, for the Fed, to raise the interest rates, okay? So federal funds rates, the black line on the screen, to raise the interest rates. The whole reason for that is because the CPI or the inflation numbers were really high. Now we're still sitting sticky with the inflation sitting above I think it's at 2.6% at the moment, which is a problem because the Fed wants it to be at 2. That's their target rate. And they're going to keep the interest rate high until that happens. And here's the problem. A strong economy means that there's still people buying, still people that can afford the high interest, and it's not bringing down inflation at this stage. And yesterday, when the FOMC press conference came out, the gist of it was that there is no estimate, or there is no benefit to them releasing or pivoting, reducing the rates just yet, which meant that the market dumped because we wanted to hear we're going to drop the rates in September because that's what Powell hinted to. But now he said that there is not going to be a release. Now, I know that there was there was 2 of the governors that said maybe we need to do that, but the other 10 all supported Powell, pointing to that it needs to remain there. And you can see that that is changing the way the market looks. Now, this is going to impact the stock market. Now, why is this important, guys? Because the stock market is also another macro way of looking at buyer sentiment. We want to buy Bitcoin at these levels, or Ethereum for this chart. Why do you buy today? Why would you buy today? Ask yourself that question. I would buy this today because I believe that there's going to be an idiot willing to pay more for it tomorrow. That's the only reason how trading works. You're buying now because you think it's not going to go lower. And if you think it's not going to go lower, you have the assumption that there's somebody that's going to still want to buy it tomorrow as it goes higher, because you need consistent buying for this to continue on. If you don't believe that it's a good deal tomorrow, if ETH at a 3,900 isn't a good deal, why buy now? Wait for the good deal. That's the way it works. And when we look at this, the GDP figures and the economy figures that we're looking, if this is strong, there might be money for people to buy. As simple as that. Now, silver has been trending bullish as Bitcoin has been trending bullish. They kind of been tracking themselves together, or they were correlated in that same. The same with gold. Gold was running as Bitcoin was running. Now, since April this year, gold has been in a lateral range. Since, let's quickly see where silver is. Silver has been correcting, and if we look at April, it's a little bit of a move. So as gold was going lateral, silver had its moment. And then if we take this to Bitcoin, just to kind of see what the correlation is with that, there you have it. From July this month, Bitcoin has been range bound. And if we look at gold was pumping until April before it started becoming lateral range bound. And up until then, gold was doing really well. If you look at where we're at around now, where's your April? There we go. There. This is when gold stopped pumping. So the correlation is simple. Gold goes up. Okay. Bitcoin and those things will wait. Gold runs a little bit first, then Bitcoin runs, and then silver runs as well. So if we have a situation where these legacy market coins or the legacy markets start becoming bullish again, that will bring fuel to BTC. It's not going to be an immediate thing. It's a knock-on event, okay? So gold needs to start running first. Once it starts running, then we can start anticipating a little bit of a swing for BTC and the same for silver. So what do we have at the moment? Gold's range bound, and if it loses this axis, it starts testing these lows. It doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin will sell off, but we want to see some sort of shakeout here so that gold can start moving up again, because that will change the general sentiment. It will make things look bullish. People were raving, look at gold. Bitcoin's going to perform just as well. But if the sentiment isn't there, the buyers aren't necessarily going to want to buy, because why buy if I don't have the belief that it's going to be higher tomorrow? And stuff like this is bad. It questions the stuff. The fact that the FOMC might go back on their word, not really reducing the rates. This is bad. Okay, that changes my prediction. I bought because it was going to blow off. We're going to go higher. If they're going back on their word, maybe I bought the wrong price. Maybe I need to sell. And that's typically why the massive volatility kicks in. So if you look at the Dixie, and I think that's maybe where we need to end off this one, is the dollar now at this stage is now trending back up. We're sitting at 99. Where are we going to go to get a continuation of the Dixie? So let's look at it from this point. This is a very simple, clean way. The Dixie was range bound. We broke out. So this was all bad. All of this was really bad for Bitcoin and gold and silver and all these things. And then we tested the upper end of the range to do what? To hurt them more? Yes, but we couldn't. We fell back in the range. So the Dixie is still bearish at this stage, but it's not done filling the imbalance. Because now what we've done with the Dixies, we've established there's a high, there's a lower high, there's a low, there's a lower high, and there's a lower low. What do we need? We need to now go and create a lower low, which means that while this is still trying to figure itself out, before we can say that this thing is trending bearish, we now need to make sure that that is there. Now, we can argue that this is already bearish, but then even if you're bearish, the prediction is it makes sense that we're going to at least go to some middle way before we have a further continuation. And that's the trap that I want to kind of warn you guys about. That's why I'm cautiously not taking swing leverage long entries anymore, because all of this could change the landscape for things. Get the gold to sell off where it needs to be if Dixie goes and visits these highs. Let me just maximize the gold chart to the far again. Get that to sell off. Come on. Get silver to finish its 5 waves. Okay, because we're now at 3. So get silver to do this, and then do a longer term correction. Get range bound. Okay, so it's going to take time, and then as well as then change the sentiment for Bitcoin, because at this stage, the Bitcoin sentiment has kind of just, it's at all-time highs, but the momentum isn't there. We're in a range environment. Okay? And that's it. So the trader in me says, I want to believe that it's going to go on higher, but I have to be cautious to the idea that there's these biggest things that's out there. And if we fall below these levels, this is what is to be considered a rejection. High, lower low, lower high. We're just testing the range at this stage. So it's be optimistic that there's going to be more. But at this stage, I don't know whether that's just going to be that. So that's the play for today, with a little bit of an explanation around these things. Okay, over to the comments real quick. Then I want to head over to the alt. So let's quickly see. Chris is sitting on his hands. Sitting on your hands is a great trade, guys. It's not doing nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is a trade. So it is patient. I'm sitting on my hands with my BTC bags. I'm sitting on my hands with some of my long-term alt swings and so forth, because we're fighting a level with no confirmation that either side has won yet. So what do we need to do? We need to just sit on our hands. The trader in me says, hey, there's still upside there. I can scalp the shit out of that. I'm in a long right now. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Well, the thing with those, Pulse Chain and Pulse going parabolic in 7 days, I don't know whether that is truly happened. Let's quickly maybe have a look, because I do have some Pulse. What is the Pulse Chain? This was this one. Do they, on what exchange can you trade them? Are they listed on an exchange? Before I answer that question, how it's made, are they listed on an exchange? Because I still have a DEX wallet on that. I haven't looked at them. I've sacrificed my money back in the day when Richard Hard was on Banter, and he said, you need to sacrifice this. A good bull run, let's sacrifice something. I'll get back to your answer, but tell me where I can find it, and then we can quickly have a look at that. Okay, let's see what else we have. Will there be a time to long the alts? Yes, there will be a time to long the alts, but the structure for that, what structure might we need to look at for that? Well, simple as that. When we're going to look at the alts, I'll show you now. You want to see Bitcoin trending, and then you want to see Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, which I've now shown you it's not quite there yet. That's when the long-term swing for the alts makes sense for me. Long-term. Short-term alts are like leveraged already. Okay, that's what you want to see. Until you have that, let's maybe use this chart. It's probably the easiest way to use it. And you've got the dominance going down. Great. Thanks, dominance going down. USDT will also go down, because if I don't want to be in something, I don't want USDT. So that's also going to come down. But until you have a situation where you've got Bitcoin going up, you've got Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, which is probably going to, it's hard now. You can't really use this chart. Let's just do this. Click there. Let me see. You've got Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin on the larger time frames, which it's not doing. Until that happens, that's where I'm still going to be a little bit reserved. So for now, alts is a spot purchase. It's not a long-term leverage purchase. As simple as that. That's my opinion, though. Okay, so long way to just say not yet, but the spirit of trying to be as accurate as I can. Okay, is there still trades? Yes, choppiness is great, Liam, because the more you chop, the more trades you can make. So if you go to the Discord, let's have a look at this. Right, so let's have a look at the short scalp. So I went short there at that red line, banked some profit last night, and then at some stage we had a daft mole, and it's simple, more pain to follow, and we had a nice little sell-off, on the short scalp. Then on the long, it's very simple. There we were looking for the entry. Sorry, now I've clicked on the wrong one. BTC. It's supposed to be there. This was the swing long. Where's my scalp long chart? There it is. There I was looking for the entry. And the short scalp gave me that long entry, which I'm in at the moment. So there's a lot that can be had, because what? That was the bottom of the range at 116. There's a top at 120. Be bullish at the bottom of the range. Be bearish at the top. We scalped from the middle to the low point. I took my profit and going long. So there's a lot that can be had there. Okay, it's as simple as that. Let's see. I see there's a few more questions. It's not on an exchange. Yeah, I can't really chart that for not an exchange. I'm just holding it. I'm just waiting for some. I'm on a group that's got that throws updates on what's happening there. And I'm just waiting for them to start saying we're geniuses, we're going to be rich. And then I'm just going to go onto my wallet, my MetaMask, and, whatever wallet it's in. And I'm just going to go sell it. I wanted to make some money. That's all I wanted to do. I don't want to do anything else with that. I won't say it's a scam, because then anything is a scam. Any startup is a scam, for that matter. Because what is a startup saying? I think I can make this work. You bought in on the idea that he's going to be able to make things work. And if it doesn't, that's the risk you're going to take. So he's trying. The chain is there. It's working. So he made good on his promise. It's now whether we believe. Bitcoin was a scam up until the other day. Now it's institutionally adopted. So I won't say it's a scam. I won't go that far. Somebody that creates a meme coin, and then as soon as the community gets it, sells all these coins, takes all their money, and then leaves them with nothing. That's a scam, because there was no value to start off with in the first place, in my opinion. Okay. Let's see what else. That's basically that. It's about 270 people joining live. Let's quickly have a look at the top 5 alts, and then we can end off. Let's do that. Solana. So I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame, because we need to look at this from a trader sentiment. So the argument is we did make a lower low. So we have completed the beginnings of or the end of 4. So it might still be a little bit choppy. Let me take the brush strokes away. Might still be a little bit choppy here at 170, 180, because we below what was in critical support. So it's lost. It's at this stage, it's resistance. Okay, so it's a resistance. We're there. But if we can reclaim that, there is at least another 5 potential moves to be had. And the first one being, get the higher high, then come and turn this into support. So there's your play. So you need to just wait for that. A, B, C, this needs to be a 5 wave. Do we have 5 waves in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One can argue that there is 5 waves in there, in that last leg. And so go and delete what is going to be there. Hidden bearish divergence. Get the higher high. It's so simple. Get the higher high, and then I can like you again. Okay. Then turn this into support, because then I can leverage a nice swing, or not swing, but on this time frame, you can argue that it's a swing. Okay, maybe maybe I used the wrong term earlier, saying no swing trades, but maybe you can argue that this 180 to 240 could still be a really good swing, or 180 to 220 for that matter. When it rejects, maybe there would be a really good move for a 4 and a 5. That kind of thing. So that's the play for Solana. If you want this charts, guys, I post these charts regularly in the Discord. You know what to do. Video and links to the Discord is in the video description as well, and on the YouTube. So we do have that 4. So we're in the makings of creating a 5. Where the 5 will be, I don't know. Okay, that's it. Let's then have a look at the next one. XRP. Now, XRP had an insane couple of pumps. Now, is this thing going to do the exact same thing again and push even higher? So for me, XRP now has, let's just say this is the beginning of a new leg, you know. XRP also has now created a nice 4. 4 is when the RSI goes lower than 2, price stays above 2. So let me maybe just draw that out for you guys. There would be 1, 2, that's a messy 3, but it's there, 3, and that's the problem that I have with that being a 3. Sorry, there's the divergence. Sorry, wake up, Rudo. 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so that's the idea. We're trying to get there. You just make that green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could build a base here first before we move up. That's pretty, fine. But that's it. So there's your divergence. That signals 3. There's your 4, your hidden bullish divergence. And the big demand zone pivots, we stayed above it. So we're right in the right area, right vicinity. Now, there's a lot of lines on the charts. So to simplify things, I'm just going to zoom out for you and switch off that so that it's just a little bit cleaner. So we did have our hidden bullish divergence, the lower low. This is a 5-wave Elliott impulse, being if this is the, whatever it is, whether this is like this, meaning maybe there's a, I mean, the time frames now become literally unrealistic. So let's just leave it like that. Whether this then, either way, you know, we could still do this and then go on higher and then have an amazing bull cycle. Bitcoin goes to 150, Bitcoin goes to 120. Well, this is probably where the top's going to be. That depends on how this last few months are going to play out. You know, big blue candle like that maybe changes the outlook. Maybe there isn't a big blue candle. You know? But there you have it. So XRP really looking good because the amount of percentage gains that we're going to get there is 30% on this. So if you 10x, that's 300%. If you're 100x, you get the math. Okay, it really starts moving nicely. Okay, next one that I'm interested in is Link. Okay, so here's the Link play. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. Do we have the divergence yet? Yes, we do. We've got the lower low on the RSI, so you can see it there. 1, 2. There's the divergence. There's the one that sells. So that's the 3. There's the 4. Now we're looking for the 5. Okay, so there you have it. Higher high, lower high, fell below the pivot, tested the pivot. Now we're creating 4. So we're in bottom signal areas. Now, statistically, this is where the price needs to go to. It needs to go to 15, but we've got a lot of momentum. So it's not always going to listen to my statistical area where the buys would be, but be open to that. So if we go back to 18 and we fall, then we're just not done with this last correction, and then we can still maybe go a little bit lower. And your argument or your appetite for risk needs to be tight at this stage, saying, I'll take a long, and if it starts doing this, I'll rather want to buy it there again with the hope that it then works, because the risk then becomes too high that it's going to go lower. It's just simple as that. So there you have your track on Link and where that one is moving. Cardano. Now, Cardano is a different one. I'm waiting for, yet again, the divergence to kick in there. So there's your 2, RSI made a lower low, and so forth. And Cardano is still in a consolidation. Long-term resistance lives there. With this pump will probably be supply. A lot of people got trapped there. Okay, so you'll have your supply liquidity that lives in there. There, supply liquidity. So anything in here should see massive sell-off until all of that is resolved. Then you've got Cardano as well. You've got your high-low. You've got your support test shakeout. So you do have your bottom of the range here. And this is, if you look at this, the midpoint where price is revolving around. Axis. Okay. What are we doing? Boom. Falling, fighting, falling. We're spending time there. Okay, this is where the supply gets, the order book is thin, so we can manipulate price down. Order book is thin, we can manipulate price up. Okay, and it's being bounced between, and we're back in that range. So the hope is we're not going to fall below 69. I don't want to see this thing go there or anywhere there, because if it does, it's going to keep on making the RSI go lower, and it's not bad necessarily, but the momentum is gone. Because if this is a breakout, Cardano needs to do something like this. It needs to have a stupid trend line, be something it adheres to. Price needs to listen to this stupid trend line. Why? Because everybody needs to be right occasionally for them to be wrong consistently. So if we don't have a trend line and price listening to that, it's bad. So Cardano could potentially still chop around and then also go and get that move. So that's my play for Cardano. And then the last one for today is BNB, pushing up all-time highs. Now, larger time frame, let's go weekly time frame for BNB. What do we have? We've got the RSI giving us a higher high in price, a lower high, and price giving us a higher high. So BNB is exceptionally bullish, but we've got a clear invalidation line, 743. So where it's at right now, it's a buy on the basis that your stop needs to be down there. That's it. Go above $1,000. This would be amazing, because then your retrace would be even further. Okay. Now, how much time? 46 minutes. Guys, I would have loved to do a full Elliott count with you guys and move that forward, but maybe we'll leave that for a later date, because there's no supply and demand rate, no Elliott count on this one. But you can clearly see RSI made a lower low on that point 2. That would be your wave 2. This would be your wave 3 to 4, and we're basically on the beginnings of a 5 wave. So you're looking at something like this, with that being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there, 1, 2, basically building a 3, 4, 5. So there's a potential, but whether the 5 is there or there, I don't know. Okay, so that's the only risk you have. All right, that's everything for me, guys. Close to next leg up. Uni is one of those coins where I think you need to have a look at, my friend. It's definitely going to be doing really well, purely from a altcoin season point of view. You look at these coins. So let's maybe refresh this. I don't always know if it keeps it updated. Let's just do this. Now 41 coins outperforming BTC, and Uni was here somewhere there. There it is. Okay, so it is outperforming BTC within the last 90 days, but it still remained relatively flat. So the gains is not that much. So it's not feeling like a true alt season on this one. But there's our ENA, and where's Aero now? Aero, I think, should be pushing down a little bit. There's IP coming through. They're all moving up. To see Aero is now slowing down a little bit. Okay, so yeah, Uni is on the list. I want to see that, and then I want to look to take some profit. The rule is always, guys, double your money, sell half, walk away. Okay, that's it. Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to end the stream over there. Bronwyn, can you look at Curve? Bronwyn, maybe we can do that in the Discord. Let's see what else we have. ICP as well. Requests and stuff for the guys in the Discord. Head over to the Discord. We can continue the chat there. Thanks so much for taking the time, guys. It's been a long one, but I tried to get you guys with as much information as possible. And that's it. Cheers, man.